we seemed to have a single soul animating two bodies, writes St. Gregory Jansen. And while those who claim that all things are in all things are not readily to be believed, we, at least, had to believe that we were in and with each other. St. Basil the Great himself was of a very Christian family. His brother Gregory of Nyssa, a holy bishop like himself. His sister Macrina, also a saint, and indeed the parents were known to be very holy. These two, by divine providence, Gregory and Basil, got to know each other in university days at the Oxford of the time, Athens, and they pursued virtue and knowledge. It is a beautiful example of the bonding of souls in the Lord. The success of one was the success of the other, and there was no envy. Indeed, they preferred that the other got the first place. One thinks of similar friendships in academia, closer to us in time. There was a beautiful friendship between the now canonized John Henry Newman and his long-time collaborator Ambrose St. John, and we know that he wished to be buried in the same place. We had at La Trappe an interesting tradition within the family of what had happened to the great reformer, David de Rancé. Indeed, we were reminded of it every time we walked along the little path that passed the lake, or the pond, whatever you wanted to call it. And there it was l'allée de Bossuet, for at the Sorbonne, Bossuet and Armand de Rancé were the best of friends. One came first and the second in that huge centre of learning. Both were powerfully moved by divine grace. Bossuet became a great preacher. L'Abbé de Rancé had quite a dramatic about turn and took seriously the fact that he was abbot commendatory of La Trappe, and so was able to reform it and claim his rights. These two also were in the ambit of prayer and monastic life, and Basil is looked to in the East as Benedict is to the West, as the great patriarch. Indeed, Benedict filtered the best of the East and wanted that the conferences of St. John Cassian be read before Compline. St. Basil also is known for his devotion to the Holy Ghost and his writing thereupon, and his work in the sphere of prayer and praise in church, liturgical praise, and the liturgy named after him is still used to this day, as is that of St. John Chrysostom, a little later in time. But these three have in common the fact that they had to wrestle with issues of Christology, pneumatology, and all to do with the understanding of the nature of the Blessed Trinity, made more complex by the fact that in the East the emperor, who was a Christian, would be interested and therefore would get involved. And that would explain how St. John Chrysostom, for his part, although, like Gregory of Nazianzen, was actually bishop of the very important New Rome, Constantinople, had to go into exile more than once and died in exile near the Caspian Sea. Well, similarly, Gregory Nazianzen, he opted to return to Nazianzus and to the quiet life because of all the strife and political tension involved in being Patriarch of Constantinople. So they preferred the quiet life. St. Basil insisted on the importance of the cenobitic life and actually maintained on his part that it was superior because of the necessity to practice charity over and above the eremitic life, which can include illusion when not challenged on that point. That was his taking, and we respected. What we can take with us is the fact that it's only when there is a deep anchoring in the Blessed Trinity that the life of the Blessed Trinity and its communion can be also shared on earth. It applies to a good Christian couple forming a domestic church. It applies to a good religious community. It applies also, as in these brethren, to two souls bonded in the Lord. And one thinks of the blessing that the Lord can add when that is the case. Indeed, little Margaret Mary, in her hidden monastery at Paris-le-Monial, had also another intuition given which is less known than those of the Sacred Heart itself. It was that she saw three hearts, a big one, the Saviour's, and two little ones beneath. One was her own, and the other was that of, by now, Saint Claude de la Colombière, the Jesuit who stayed faithful to her until the end and was the instrument of making known her visions and spreading the devotion to the Sacred Heart through the great machinery of the powerful order to which she belonged, the ever-growing Society of Jesus. Friendship, therefore, based in Trinitarian life, which is essentially one great current of love. Questi due amici si sono trovati a Atene a studiare e hanno seguito la stessa ispirazione e grazia particolare di andare in ricerca della vera sapienza e anche della vera carità. San Basilio stesso era eventualmente un gran monaco e patriarca dei monaci dell'Oriente, vescovo, fratello di Santa Macrina e di San Gregorio di Nissa, e suo papà e mamma erano anche anime molto sante. E Gregorio intuiva la bellezza della sua anima e erano anime inseparabili. Si intuisce che è solo in Dio che questo tipo di unione possa davvero esistere. È un rifletto, un rispecchio della vita trinitaria stessa, perché Dio è circa un'incessione di amore perpetua. E loro, come altri santi, preferivano che l'altro sia il primo, negli esami per esempio. C'è questo insegnamento che sarebbe bello da seguire era il fatto che, perché era basato sulla vita trinitaria, c'erano presente infatti una sola cosa. Lo dice bene San Gregorio stesso: un'anima in due corpi. Erano arrivati al punto, si può dire, che erano uno nell'altro. Nella vita di comunità, se la lode di Dio è perfetta, ma nello stesso tempo ci sono correnti negativi nell'area, si può dire visibile e sensibile soprattutto, ma anche purtroppo invisibile e percepibile per l'altra anima sola, non è del tutto sotto la benedizione della Trinità, perché c'è una disfunzionalità che impedisce che Dio regni del tutto. Non si può adorare il Signore che è amore se il cuore dell'uomo è contaminato e contagiato da correnti negative di questo tipo. All'inizio dell'anno sarebbe il momento di fare un esame di coscienza su questo punto. È sì o no il mio cuore un tempio in cui Gesù riceve un'adorazione pura? O c'è qualche mancanza di perdono? Sì o no sento quello che Gesù sente quando io emetto qualcosa che ferisce? Perché questo anche fa parte del culto in spirito e verità.
Betlemme di Giudea, un gran luce si levò, nella notte sui pastori scese l'annunzio e si cantò. In excelsis Deo, gloria, in excelsis Deo.